Are you part of the
Hi, welcome back to Boss Lady at RVN Television, and I am here with Laura Ergood. Did I say that right?
It's Ergood.
Ergood. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay.
Laura Ergood. Laura, tell us a little bit about estate planning, because that is also something that you specialize in.
Right. So I think I said earlier that it's important to have a will, and I thought it would be helpful to just give a couple examples of people that, not people, but instances where people didn't have wills and how it played out. So sometimes in second marriages, people, one of the spouses may have a house, and then they get married, and when they get married, they think that the other spouse automatically owns the house. That's not necessarily true. So if they don't have a will, say the husband owns the house and they don't put the wife on the deed, then if they pass away without a will and that husband has children from another marriage, that house now may need to be sold in order to make sure that the child from the other marriage gets their part of the intestate estate. So when you die with a will, you're the testator. But if you die without a will, you die intestate, which means that your estate is divided according to the laws of New Jersey. Whereas if you make a will, you decide. So in that situation, if the husband had left the house to the wife in his will, then the wife would have got the house. But if not, the wife now needs to sell the house so that a portion of it can go to the children of his prior marriage.
How about pension plans and things
That's
like
a really
that?
That's a really good point. So 401k plans, you need spousal consent in order to change the beneficiary on a 401k or a 403b plan. So I had a case where it was a young man. He had been married before. He had I think a 9 or 12-year-old son, and his son was named as the beneficiary because he divorced, and he named his son as the beneficiary. Well, he remarried and had a young child, and the new wife received the benefits because he didn't do a will, he didn't get spousal consent, and therefore, it doesn't matter if the beneficiary was whoever he had on there, the spouse is the beneficiary unless she agrees to release her rights to the 401k. It's not like that with an IRA. Whoever you name on an IRA is the beneficiary. But some people leave their 401ks and their 403bs in those plans after they leave that employment or they've retired. They should really roll them into an IRA if they want to avoid that type of problem. But there's beneficiary designations on IRAs, 403bs, 401ks, annuities, life insurance, and those are things that don't pass through the will. They pass through the beneficiaries. So when I do people's wills, I make sure their beneficiary designations on those type of assets coordinate with the will. It's very important. I also do a lot of second marriage, even first marriages. People don't want, husbands and wife both work today, right? So they both earn and they both contribute to the family and to the savings. So they don't necessarily want to leave everything to each other directly because there's a chance that the other spouse is going to remarry or have another relationship, which then could cause their children together to be disinherited. And it just happens because if you die young or at any age, your spouse could remarry and be in a long relationship with another person who they want to take care of. But your assets that you had earned went to that person, and then it doesn't get to the kids.
So all of it needs to be in a will.
Yeah, and there's things that I can do in a will, such as put trust in the will to protect your assets for your spouse, but also so that they don't get redesignated to a new spouse and that they ultimately get to your children, whatever's left.
So it's really the only way to assure that exactly what you wish is done.
Exactly.
And that's so important.
It's so important. And if you don't have a will, then there's a process that you have to go through to be appointed as an administrator. You have to apply for a bond. You have to pay for the bond. I mean, the state would reimburse you once you're appointed. But there's cases like I have a case right now where the mom didn't leave a will. She had a stepchild. Okay, she didn't leave a will. So that means her estate passes through intestacy. Well, stepchildren are included in the intestacy statutes. So now this poor guy isn't going to get, she raised him since he was in 7th grade.
Wow.
So, if she had just done a will and left everything to him, there wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Now we have to go through all sorts of steps to try and get other relatives to disclaim, and it's just if she had just had a will, he would be taken
It
care of.
would have been easier
Yeah,
for
yeah.
everyone afterwards.
And also, like, if people that have special needs children, if you want to make sure you have special needs trust put in place. Some people like to do revocable living trust. It makes it easier for their children to deal with their assets if they become incapacitated. And that's something I wanted to touch upon too. Having a durable power of attorney and then a New Jersey Advanced Healthcare Directive, which appoints your healthcare agent and is your end-of-life decision making, is so important. I mean, those documents are relatively inexpensive, and if you don't have them and you become incapacitated, you can no longer create them because you're incapacitated. Then your family needs to go for guardianship if they need to take over your finances and your healthcare decisions. Guardianship is much more expensive. It's a court proceeding, and it's in the public, right? It's in the courts, and you have to be declared incapacitated. I don't think people want that. So having your full estate plan, your will, your durable power of attorney, and your advanced healthcare directive are extremely important.
Okay, and a couple of other questions. Someone comes in to do a will, and they say to you, well, how do I pick the executor?
Okay, so to pick the executor, that's a very good question. So I usually suggest, sometimes people want all their children or co-executors, which is fine if that's what they want. But those two people need to get along, and they need to make the same decisions. And I've seen that backfire many, many times where they don't work together well. You need to choose someone that you can trust, that's reliable, that's good with managing money and property, and can,
And has the time.
has the time.
Because it's very time consuming.
It is. It's a big job. It really
It is.
Yeah.
And I found with my aunt who just passed, her executor was her nephew, and it was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Now, they're entitled to a commission, and that's because it's a lot of work. They should get a commission.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it has to be somebody that you trust. Same for a durable power of attorney, somebody that you're going to trust.
And what if you name someone and then you pass and that person says, nope, I don't want it?
So I like to have my clients put on at least one successor agent, and if not, one, two, if available.
So in other
Just
words,
in order to avoid guardianship.
Okay.
If you have 3 children and you trust them all and they all can manage to do the job, then list them all in succession.
right. That's great.
And then, if one of the other issue is when, you have 2 spouses, one's well, one's getting dementia, that's a good time to redo your estate plan as well, because if you're going to apply the spouse that has dementia to Medicaid eventually, you don't want to leave all your assets to that spouse, because then it's going to knock them off Medicaid. So there's things you can do to change your will or your whole estate plan so that doesn't happen.
Okay. And then what about a couple, and they do their will together, and then somewhere down the line, one of them decides that they want to change the will, and maybe not actually tell the other person. What happens in that case?
So I cannot represent both of them anymore, because when they first came to me, if I did a joint plan for both of them when they were in agreement, they were both my clients. So if one of them decides they want to do something that's contrary to the other one, and not tell them, I can't do that. They would have to go see another attorney.
But another attorney would do that. Okay, I understand.
They'd have to have separate attorneys at that point.
Okay, yeah. And I'm sure you just see so many family dynamics and crazy things that...
I really do. It's sad, but I mean, at this point in
is.
time, I tell people, they come in, they think it's just them, and I say it's not just you. I see this all the time. It's normal. It's just, I guess it's the human experience. It's just normal. I do also do contract reviews for people when they're moving into assisted living facilities and
that's good.
nursing homes. It's good. Sometimes, I can negotiate the contracts for them. Sometimes they won't negotiate, but it's good for people to know what they're getting into. A lot of times,
And for the family.
For the family. So the family, sometimes they want personal guarantees, and they don't know what they're signing, and so it's really important to have an attorney review those contracts before you move in, just to know what you're signing, because nursing homes are running in this area between like $12,000, $14,000 a month.
It's a lot of money.
So yeah, you really need to do your planning to try and make sure all of your life savings don't end up at the nursing home.
Absolutely. And on that note, let's just, could you please tell the audience how to get a hold of you?
Sure.
And your website and perhaps your phone number?
Sure.
And because
people should come see me.
Yes, absolutely.
Laura Ergood. My law firm is Ergood Law. I'm located on Kings Highway and Crooked Lane in Cherry Hill. My website is www.ergoodlaw.com. You can reach me by email at admin@ergoodlaw.com, and yeah, I can help you.
That's great. That's great. And do you charge for the initial?
I do. I charge for the initial consultation. It's an hour-long initial consultation. I give a ton of information during that consultation. If I think you can do something on your own, I will let you know. I will guide you to do it on your own. If you need me later, come back to me. That's fine. I don't pressure anybody. But most people need my help, and they hire me. So
Okay,
it's
great.
very rewarding to help people in a time of crisis.
And you're so empathetic. I'm sure that you're very wonderful
Yeah,
at
well,
what you
I
do.
see what my mom and my parents went through. It's horrible.
It is. It's
It's
and
tragic.
it's such a sensitive time. It's a time where you're mourning and you're, it's just tough.
And family members take it differently, and there's a lot of controversy sometimes. So
And
a
I
lot of
heard-
times I can help with that as well.
I mean, I've heard of a brother and sister who I know, who I don't know what the situation was, but they haven't talked in 20 years over a rug.
Oh my gosh, that is a really good point.
What?
That is a very good point.
I
Because
actually, as I was saying that, I thought of one other brother and sister who just don't talk either over a rug.
a lot of estate litigation is over tangible personal property. So people come in and they're like, oh, everyone will just divide it up. And I said, I give them a tangible personal property memo. Please fill this out, because people will fight over rugs. I've had 2 cases where they fought over dolls, Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, and like dolls. So that tangible personal property, you got to write that down. Who gets what?
That's
Be
right.
specific, because people fight over the weirdest things, and it's some emotional thing that you can't explain.
Yes,
But
yes.
I do estate litigation as well. People fighting over the will being changed or being disinherited or things like that.
And then you actually represent one person.
Right, I represent the person usually that was disinherited, and sometimes the person that changed the will, but usually it's the person that was wronged.
Yes. Well, I would like to thank you so much. We're out of time.
Okay.
And I apologize if we didn't get to everything, but this was so informative. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie, for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you. And signing off from Boss Lady, Bonnie Brooker. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Bye-bye.